Well, here I am again. This is the Dove Lady. Again, showing you pictures of my orbs, using my cell phone to take these pictures. It seems to be easier than using my camera, which has seemed to have gotten, well, whacked up. I can't set the timing of how long I want the videos anymore. So I resorted to using my cell phone. And this that you're seeing is a picture of the light orbs as they come from the light source, and it's got a little of the violet color in it, and that's what I wanted to illustrate in the next few pictures I will be showing you. How that violet color is pixelated now in some of my pictures. Not always do I see it pixelated, but sometimes I do. And here's a statement from a book by Walter Russell I will read that I have in this picture. God's perpetually creating electric wave universe of two moving lights are projected through each other from the static one to create the illusion of the ideal they but manifest. The illusion which manifests the ideal of creation through seeming motion is not the ideal which it seemingly manifest. That I read many of Walter Russell's books on my YouTube channel. You can go to it and find the Divine Iliads and the Universal One, a new concept of the universe, many books that you would have no trouble hearing because I read them, and you can just go about your day doing what you want, listening to the wisdom of Walter Russell. And now for the next picture. The orb is like a quick change artist, and you see this orb is morphing right there. I never actually get the picture that I see right before I snap because it takes a little while for the camera to make the picture, and by then, that little short duration of time, the orb has morphed and changed. When I'm looking through the viewer, I'm really researching into a dimension of light that is so interesting. I wish I could get other people interested in it. It's amazing. That's all I can say. Now, this is a picture that shows how that when I film the light, as it first comes out of the light source, it comes out as a teardrop shape. But with my camera, I can move my camera so that shape that you see coming forth there goes right back into the light, and then I can make it go in and out with just the movement of my camera. So, I don't know. And then that light makes an appearance of three little orbs that morph. They send a orb to the middle and then to the end one, and it goes back and forth. There's three of them. It's like a mother and a daddy and a baby that they're tossing back and forth. And I've captured many views of this. And this one, it's folding up like an envelope. These orbs are really contortionist. And then they'll take on color, beautiful colors. I have many pictures of beautifully colored orbs. I wish I knew what to do with them, because they're so beautiful. I want them out there. They just look all kinds of ways, and never any time do I ever get the same scene twice. It's always something different. The colors themselves seem to morph and run throughout the orb, often falling over the edge into another orb. One day, I noticed that I was getting a pixelated look, which seemed to be in the part of the orb where the color was a violet color. Now, you can sort of see it. I'm going to move in close. You can see that pixelation. Now, I went in closer with my program and got a close-up view, a zoomed-in view of the picture after I had taken it off the camera. And this is what that pixelation looks like. And I'm going to put in the description bar a video of Is Our World a Pixelated Simulation? Or is our world a simulation of some sort? And it's very good. I just listened to it a while ago. And I want you to look at that. If you have time, I will put that in the discussion bar. This is a picture I took of light, and see how the light weaves like it was on a loom, like the light just weaves. Well, it weaves as it reproduces itself, and I think that is how it travels. This is something I got off the internet that it says a new analysis shows a way to self-propel subatomic particles. So that's part of its movement. It's self-propelling is to reproduce itself. Now, sometimes I get this thing that looks like a donut. It has a lot of different colors in it. And just to be sure it wasn't something in the glass itself, because I film a gleam of light shining off of a piece of glass, which is usually, let me find, I don't have one around. Well, I don't have my glass pieces around me right now, but I have several. So, here's one. Here's one. That's one. A little teardrop shape. But anyway, I have several of these, and I use different ones, and this was in every one. So it's not something in the glass itself. So I ruled that out. But although sometimes I see imperfections with the naked eye inside that glass, and those little imperfections show up in my pictures too. But still, there's something. They're a particulate of some sort. See, there's another example of that. It just shows up a lot. And often very many different colors. Now, this is an example. I'll move it up close so you can see all the little rings. All the little tiny rings. And big rings. And it just seems to be that it's encrusted rings upon rings in the background. And I don't know what it could be, but I've often seen pictures of atoms that are rings with concentric rings around them. So maybe it's an atom. And this, it's not showing up real well here. Make it back. You can't see the woven feature of the middle of this. So I won't use that as an example. But it's twirling around. It's moving. It's got a spin. These light photons spin around and twist themselves into some most strange looking things. Look at this one. It's a photon of light that just twisted itself. And look how this one is twisted. And I put in here, this dimension of light surrounds us. It has depth. It has crawl spaces. And yet this is in the thin air. I have this theory that all that we can see is the illusion, and it is given to us through what seems to be nothing because it's not visible, but it is what creates the illusion that we live in. It's like all of this that I'm taking pictures of is the artist's palette that God uses to paint different colors into reality, or that he's given us the ability to co-create with him using these colors and designs in our simulated reality. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. We live in a simulation. But I do believe we do. Look at this. I don't know what that was, but it just appeared in one of my orbs. Just want to show it to you. And the orb itself is the wave. See that? See, that's an orb. You see the little edges of it. They are the little telltale lines that go around the outside rim of the orb. Show up real plain in that. Okay. Is this an example of self-replicating? That's my question for this picture. Now, when I take pictures of light, and I take that little piece of glass like I showed you, put it in water, The water makes it make big black holes, which quickly evaporate while I'm looking at it. And sometimes I can't even snap a picture before it's already evaporated, but they're large black looking holes. But these quickly will morph into something that looks kind of like an X. But it won't stay that way because it's still morphing. And it's going to make what I call curved lined balls. Here's an example of some. Two of them. The first was the black hole, then the X, and now it's the curved line balls. And this one looks almost like a cocoon, but it's an orb. You can see the outside rim of it, where it's a little telltale line around the edge. And it seems to be birthing these little balls. It's a cocoon. I don't know that that's how they form, but it just looks that way in this picture. And see, I take pictures of them in various stages. Now, before I get back to that, I'm going to get over here on this. This is a video that I will also put into the discussion. I'll put it in there in the discussion bar or whatever. And this, let me get this out of the way. I was filming light, and sometimes light will let me follow the activity of it in this sort of way. It doesn't always do this for me. It's so strange. I can't repeat a lot of the things that light does. I call this video Trip into a Light Fractal. And it's like light is fractal, but everything is fractal. And you can see in here the little curved line balls. I thought I had it at a place where you see them real good. Maybe I moved off from that. But the light doesn't always show itself up in an orb. It just seems to be floating around out there like you see here. This is a video of a computer movie that is being filmed from the computer movie. So I will probably get a few of those annoying Newton rings in it. In this video, I also demonstrate, you'll see me do it, pull way out from what I'm filming and then go back in so you can see. Now that's the light source there. It always makes those big pink balls around it and other colors as well. But everybody gets that when they film the sun or light up close with their cameras these days. Anyway, I'm going to get back because I can't make this too long. This is an example of the colors seeming to just fall out of the orb into another one. Or maybe it is that the orbs are moving through this sea of colors, disturbing them as they pass through. It is claimed that light does not travel. So maybe this is light reproducing itself, giving the appearance of moving as it does so. Now see these colors? See, I said they move through a sea of colors, disturbing them as they pass. Now, these little darker colored bubbles, I like to think of them as thought bubbles, and I'll tell you why. But here's an example right here. See the colors just literally falling over the edge of that? If falling is a good word, I don't think it is. I think the orb is running through the colors. Now, this I call, this is an orb that is belted about by a band of darker colors. And it's not showing up good on my picture, but that band wraps itself around the edge of that and goes around and circles this orb like as if it were a spear. Uh-oh. Gotta get out of that. Okay. Now, this is my drawing of what it's like when I look at light with the naked eye. And this area right here, that is like two flaps. And it's like it's my third eye, because I'll tell you why. The movement of those two flaps corresponds with the movement of my own eye. Like when I squinch my eye real tight, it would close, and if I open it a little bit, it opens a little bit. And I used to see this big orb loom up in front of me. I still do. But it had no color. It had mostly black and white and gray colors to it, and all kinds of stringy little things and circles with concentric circles around them. But one day, these little bubbles of darker colors started forming on the laps of that thing I call the flaps that are my third eye. And those little bubbles turned loose and just went out into the bigger orb I was looking at. And from then on, I see color in the orb that I see. I don't know what that means, except maybe it could mean that we color our world. Now these tubes that seem to be traveling all through the orbs seem to be emerging from black holes, or they're going into black holes or something, coming or going. But you might call them wormholes. They look kind of like that. Here's some more picture of that. And another. And this is some more of the curved line balls. Okay, that was the last one on that album. Now, I just wish that I could get the attention of people who are promoting the string theory, because I think these tube-looking things are carrying, I'll tell you another experience. They're carrying information in the form of little crystals. One time when I was looking at light and feeling a lot of emotion at the time, it was a sad emotion, but it was like the light wanted to comfort me. And it was like I were swimming, not physically, but visually, through a sea of seaweed, long strands, and I'd go past them, and then one of them let me come up real close to it. And I made this thing out of clay to show you what it looked like. It was just like a tube, but I saw a cut on the right and a cut on the left, and a portion of that tube was lifted out of that tube, and it opened itself up so that I could see what was running through the tube. And it was these little diamond, glittery, crystal-like things that were running through that tube. So I made this out of clay and beads to show an example of what it was I saw. Just the other day, I was listening to someone that I don't normally listen to, Anthony Patch. I don't listen to him so much because he believes all this science is pointing to the fact that CERN and the D-wave and all that are trying to create a portal to let demons and things into our world, but that's just where he goes with it. But he did mention something that I had to look up, something Buckminster Fuller is associated with, and that is the C60 carbon. And I looked that up, and that's a very interesting looking carbon. And he mentioned also something about nano diamonds, and I looked that up on Google Images. And they are little diamond, tiny little plank-sized diamonds, I guess. And people actually think they're creating them, and some people even ingest them. And it's a real thing. And I thought, wow, you learn something from everybody, even those you don't agree with. It was so funny because I don't normally listen to him, but I was listening to another video and fell asleep, and then another video with him in it came on, and I heard him talking about tetrahedrons And I'm very interested in the tetrahedron. I think of it as the basic building block of life. And I listen to his, well, I will put his video that I listened to in the discussion bar about this video, and you can watch it if you want to. Sounds like a lot of scientific talk, but the conclusions he draws from it are based on his Bible beliefs about the end times and God releasing all these demons out of hell, or us helping God release them. CERN and the D-Wave computer are just evil in his eyes. But you know what? I think they're on to something. I think we do live in a simulated reality. And I think it's good that we do, because if we're creating and it's illusion, then what we've created that's not so good, and you have to admit there's a lot that's not so good, it doesn't have to be forever, because it is, after all, illusion. And maybe it'll be archived, or even now is archived in some kind of code somewhere for us to look at in another time and see where we went wrong, so that if we're creators like God in the future, we'll know how best to create and not create again in some of the horrible fashions we have created with our thoughts. Our thoughts are creative. Very much attention must be paid to our thoughts so that we don't go off imagining horrible things, because we can have what we fear. And that's just the truth of it. If you fear something, it can happen. But I think we're moving into a reality where there's going to be a separation of the fearful thinkers from those who think good thoughts and who see God in everyone and everything. And I'm of that group. I see God in my enemy. I don't much care for that man I was listening to, but he gave me some good information. And I know he's a child of God just like I am, and part of the oneness. That's what they don't understand, that we're all one. And that everything, as Walter Russell said, is indissolubly united. Nothing can be separate from anything else. So this is just a few of my ideas I'm putting out there, and I'm going to end this now and see if I can get this video transferred over to my YouTube channel. So this is the Dove Lady, over and out, and bye-bye.